Hey, what's up everybody? Prime 22 here, bringing you part 2, or 3 if you count part 0, of my IDW Transformers Readathon. This episode we're going to be talking about how a certain person called Orion Pax got himself the Matrix of Leadership and became who we know today as Optimus Prime. This pain apps on this Matrix really didn't last long. Anyway, so yeah, we'll be talking about the Autocracy trilogy: Transformers Autocracy, Transformers Monstrosity, and Transformers Primacy, by Flint Dille and Chris Metzen. Flint Dille, you might know him from, he's basically the writer of the original 1980s Transformers movie, and he also wrote like the Five Faces of Darkness in season 3 of Generation 1. But and Chris Metzen, from what I understand, he worked a lot on World of Warcraft, but I don't really do much into World of Warcraft, but yeah. So, little fun fact, I actually met Flint Dille at TFCon 2015, Charlotte, and I got him to autograph my Autocracy cover. Whoop. So, beware of the Prime, Flint Dille. And then on the back, he wrote, transform. So, I went up to him, asked him, got this sign, asked him what did he really want to put into Autocracy that IDW didn't let him to, like it wouldn't work. And one of those things was female Transformers. I don't know where he would go with that, but yeah, that was something he wanted to explore. But of course, IDW had their own. He wanted to create like some sort of Amazon type world with female Transformers, and IDW said no, we don't have female Transformers in IDW. Even though a couple years later we get Caminus, and that's pretty in the Colony Worlds, which is pretty much Flint Dille's original intention. But he also could not use the word transform as a verb because, you know, Hasbro's fairly recently, said don't use transform as a verb. If we use it too much, then we lose control of the title. I don't know how copyright works, but something about copyright and trademarks and yada yada yada. But yeah, I have a little outline here, some things I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about the art by Livio Ramondelli, I think it's pronounced. Ramondelli, I have no idea. But I like Livio Ramondelli's. I'll call him Livio because that last name is. I like Livio's artwork, but Livio's art is almost sort of like an on and off. Like it can be really good, or it can be almost impossible to understand what's happening. And this is coming from someone who can tell you what's happening with each Michael Bay Transformer in the middle of a huge fight scene. But yeah, like the covers are good examples of some of his artwork. What I didn't like is his Optimus Prime in Autocracy. Something Livio does is when he comes onto a comic, he uses the character designs that the previous artists have used. Like, his Hot Rod in here looks nothing like the Rodimus we see in Dark Cybertron. And so yeah, he uses what he has available to him, I guess. With Autocracy, there really wasn't anything to work off of. This is his own original art. But this Optimus Prime, I don't really like this look. What is going on with the chest section is all weird. His shoulders, it just feels way too off. Almost like back to the Pat Lee days. But the one thing that I really don't like is the antenna ears on Optimus. You know, usually they come up to about the same place his forehead thing goes to. But this one, like, from Primacy, yeah, he pulls off this, like, Batman, like the Dark Knight style brooding scene. And look how long those ears are. This is like Long Halloween Batman here. I would like those ears on Batman because I like long-eared Batman, but not on Optimus Prime. That's not how he works. Like Maid can do with like the diagonal things, but only to an extent. Like Alex Milne's Optimus Prime in More Than Meets the Eye, I really liked, but only to an extent. This one, So yeah, Autocracy, summary of Autocracy. You have Orion Pax. This is after Megatron Origins, so Kaon is now Decepticon territory. We learn that Kaon borders Iacon in this book, which is interesting. But, Optimus eventually, and his team, Bumblebee, Ironhide, Hound, Prowl, they all end up, I think Prowl's gotten into motion, Zingia's like the interregnum ruler of the Autobots, in Megatron Origin, and now he's just under Orion Pax. But, they end up in Kaon, and Megatron's like, I know you quoted my manifesto when you went to the Senate, and that happens in Chaos Theory, which is going to be later on in the timeline. But that's told through a flashback, so this gets into a weird section where a lot of information from the past comes from flashbacks in the modern day books. So the prequel trilogy is sort of almost weirdly placed. But Orion Pax is like, I still serve justice, Megatron. Megatron's like, ha ha, you fool! And I'm so good at summaries. But eventually, Orion Pax knows that Zeta Prime's using this Geoxian technology called the Vampark Ribbon that sucks energy out of Transformers and uses it as a weapon. Yeah, and eventually he joins force. Orion Pax and his forces join forces with Megatron, and Hot Rod blows up his hometown. Long story. Hot Rod throughout the IDW universe is a history of failure and being betrayed by a friend and then failure. That's all Hot Rod is. Yeah, so Megatron kills Zeta Prime, but he also sends Orion Pax to underneath Iacon as he tries to kill him. But Orion Pax finds the Matrix of Leadership, and with it he becomes Optimus Prime, and he leads the Autobots in a battle to take back Icon. And they copy a lot from Transformers the movie, like, grant me mercy, I beg of you, and then that whole scene, and then Hot Rod comes in. But then Hot Rod transforms away, and then Optimus shoots Megatron. It's really... Like, I know Flint Dille did a lot for the movies, so there's one thing to reference, and there's one thing to, like, take a lot, but, it's fine. So, yeah, it ends with Optimus Prime leading the Autobots, and then some points I wanted to make out. They call the Omega Supreme type robots Omega Destructors in Autocracy. Later on in Primacy, they call Omega Supreme and Omega Sentinel, which is sort of a weird... I don't know if it's continuity error, I just like to know the specifics of that. But yeah, that's Transformers Autocracy. Then we go into Transformers Monstrosity, which part of the reason this video took so long to make... Yeah, I'm sorry for the lack of videos recently. There'll be more videos coming up very soon. Maybe even today. Probably even today. But yeah, Monstrosity was very hard to work through because it had a lot of Dinobots in it. And honestly, I don't really care that much for the Dinobots. They all look the same. They're very generic, and they're just angry people. And I don't really like characters that are always angry. But, in it, the Dinobots have Dragon alt modes, and they need to get off the planet, and Megatron is put onto Junkion, and Diatlas is a thing. And it all just builds up to the Exodus occurs here, and all the civilians leave Cybertron for the most part, and Trypticon is awakened, and he starts killing things. And they incorporate a lot of lore that was revealed in the current More Than Meets the Eye and Robots in the Sky series into this, like Adaptus and stuff. And you learn Diatlas and his Circle of Light go out, that will become important in Drift. But, yeah, it's also a story about how Megatron becomes more darker as opposed to his friendly poet self that we've seen in flashbacks. But that doesn't really build up because in More Than Meets the Eye, he's back to his old self with hardly any transition. Yeah, the prequel trilogies almost feel like an entirely different part of the IDW universe. Like, they feel like they don't belong there, but they do if you squint hard enough. What are some things I wanted to bring up? The Junkions rhyme. They're a lot different from the Junkions we knew in the movie. And the Primal Vanguard. They talk a lot about Nominus Prime and the Primal Vanguard in this book. And that's something I'm really interested in. And I would have preferred a Dinobot Spotlight when they're in the Primal Vanguard, because you could get a lot of lore out of that. But instead, like, we already had Maximum Dinobots. Now we'll get another Dinobot-focused book. And I really don't understand what the focus was, because we're focusing on Megatron. No, the Dinobots. No, Optimus Prime being a new leader. No, Trypticon's a thing. This book was all over the place. But it all ties up pretty nicely into Primacy, but yeah. And yeah. Primacy. The big battle book. Oh, I forgot to mention the Quintessons. Like, Pentius is a Quintesson that shows up in Monstrosity, and that's the first time Quintessons are outright shown in the IDW universe. Like, besides, like, a little statue wall painting in Spotlight Wheelie. But, yeah. Primacy is pretty much a big battle between the Decepticons and the Autobots that all this has been leading up to. It ends... We'll get to the ending later on, but, they refer to Omega Supreme as an Omega Sentinel, and they get Omega Supreme. Omega Supreme tells Optimus that the Primes before you were bad, like, Nova is actually evil. Even though he already tells him that millions of years into the future in Spotlight Optimus Prime. So there are some little continuity errors. I guess you could pretend Optimus couldn't hear him over the battle, but still, in Spotlight Optimus Prime says, the Primes before me were good. Sentinel, you yelled at Sentinel in Chaos Theory, and then you personally fought to kill Zeta Prime, so I don't really think so. But, yeah. The ending, it ends with Megatron being captured and into this prison-like thing, and then it's like, it never shows him escape. It's like, this could almost serve as the end of the IDW universe if you, like, really didn't want to read much. But I like how, like, we know the cliche that he's always going to escape, so they don't even bother explaining or showing him escape, which I think is pretty cool. There's some interesting things about the Quintessons in here, like, they show Trypticon's memories, and they show Pentius's memories, and it shows a planet with a big hole ripped out of it, and I don't know if that's a Junkion or anything. Oh, here we are. Right here. But I think my little fan theory is that it's Unicron that did this. Like, I think this might be the first instance with Unicron. Like, Cyclonus mentioned that there was an opposite to Primus in The More Than Meets the Eye annual, but he got cut off. So we know there's Unicron in this universe. There's Unicron in the multiverse, but that's another thing, if my lore series would ever pick up. But, yeah. Like, a lot of this page leads me to believe that there's Unicron somewhere in the universe doing something. But who knows if that will ever play out. Right now, I doubt we'll see Unicron in the IDW universe anytime soon. If we see him, the soonest it'll be, well, maybe, like, 2020. I don't know. So, what else did I want to say? That's it about Primacy. So, I really liked the Autocracy trilogy. It was really hard to get through, though, especially with Monstrosity. The original publisher says they were originally published as digital comics, but I always read them in print. I always read in print. That's why I have, like, Punishment over there in print. Which I'm hearing recently that it's going to be, like, published into a trade paperback along with Redemption, which makes me regret getting the individual Punishment. What else? So yeah, there's that. The next episode, we're going to go into a lot of spotlights. Let me pull up that list. Spotlight Thundercracker, Spotlight Shockwave, Spotlight Cliffjumper, Spotlight Wheelie, Spotlight Hot Rod, Spotlight Six Shot, Spotlight Ultra Magnus, and Spotlight Soundwave. Which that is a lot, but... And then after that, we get into Infiltration, and I'll maybe put Infiltration and Stormbringer into one episode, but not though. How long has this one gone for? 14 minutes. Okay, I should wrap it up around here. Thanks for watching. If there's any game you want me to try out on my channel, put it in the comments below. Subscribe if you... I'm playing with this matrix. Subscribe if you want to, and yeah, have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.